Uncle Kermit, is this about how the Muppets really got started?
Well, it's sort of approximately how it happened.
Get ready to discover
I'm on my way to Hollywood.
Hollywood? Hollywood?
how the Muppets first got together.
Why are you hopping up and down?
Because I'm hopping mad.
We picked up a weirdo.
Because the original classic Muppet movie is finally coming to Blu-ray. Try not to freak out.
You know, I hear this movie is dynamite.
The Muppet Movie, the nearly 35th anniversary edition.
Hey, what happened? Flip, 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 flip.
On Disney Blu-ray.
And welcome back to the Movie Hero Network. This is episode number 51 of Wheel of Movies. And tonight we are discussing 1979's The Muppet Movie. I am Austin Fez Howell, and joining me as always is Richie Goodacre. Richie, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, going good. Here with my excited dog in the background and my washing machine that just finished. Yeah, going good. So I talk about the Muppets. I think that was the first thing I was like kind of children's thing that what I was introduced to. I guess per Sesame Street, which is sort of Muppets adjacent kind of this is fun. I don't think I've watched it since I was like 5-6 years old. So it was like watching.
I actually watched it about 2 or 3 years ago. I forget what it was for. It might have been for me and Jacob's podcast about movies or something like that. I think we watched it for like an anniversary. Not long ago. But yeah, so it had actually been sort of my second rewatch in the last couple of years. But it's a fun little movie. We'll talk about it. It's pretty breezy. Not a lot of like plot involved with this movie. It's mostly just kind of a road trip cameo. Just sort of origin story type of thing. We'll talk about it. And we'll talk about kind of our history of the Muppets. The Muppet Movie, June 22nd, 1979, directed by James Frawley, who is mostly a television director, who, if you look him up, did a whole bunch of TV. So just a big time kind of TV director, and a little behind the scenes. Most of the people involved with the Muppet production company and the Jim Henson Company did not like this guy. They did not get along with him. And there's a reason why he only directed this and for the Muppets and had no other involvement with Henson or the Muppet Company after this. They did not get along. He did not really kind of gel with like directing, these Muppeteers and things like that, and all these people, and kind of directing that, because obviously, a lot of it's not real, people, and it's a lot of different type of filmmaking. There's a lot of like, behind the scenes stuff and coordination between the Muppeteers, like the way they act and stuff like this. So he didn't really like them, and they didn't like him. So they got the movie done. But if you look going forward, the rest of the Muppet films kind of going forward, at least while they're still Henson was still alive, were either directed by Jim Henson or Frank Oz. So it was like, they kind of took over most of the production and the stuff going forward. They or at least had people who were kind of involved in the Muppet Company doing the movie.
It always helps with if you know your own vision, or you got people who know your own vision just to do it yourself. Sometimes you want a good job done right. You just gotta do it yourself.
Yeah, it seems like this was very much like a studio thing. Like, hey, here's the guy we hired for you, essentially, who can like bring it in on time and on budget, sort of a thing. Which is what it kind of seemed like. And they didn't trust, Henson and Oz had only done the production of the Muppet, the actual Muppet show, in the 70s. So they hadn't really tackled, obviously, this is the first big screen adaptation. But because it was a big screen adaptation and the show was quite popular, Richie, at the time, they averaged quite a few viewers every week. It was a big hit show. Budget of $8 million at the time, but a box office of $65 million. In 1979, that is good enough to get you into the top 10. So a top 10 grossing movie of 79. So it did quite well.
Oh yeah, good hefty profit there. No, it's no wonder why they and it spawned a lot of other Muppet movies, including
Mhm.
ones I'll get into. I didn't forgot existed, but we'll just get into that.
Well, this is the most successful one up until the 2011 Jason Segel Muppet movie,
Yeah,
The Muppets. The rest of the ones were usually profitable, but were not as big as this one. So, your Muppets Take Manhattan, Great Muppet Caper, things like that going forward. So, it was still successful for the most part. They usually, turned a nice
yeah.
profit, but not
I
quite
guess
as big
I
as
would
this one.
argue that probably the most critically acclaimed one is probably Christmas Carol, I'd imagine, or this one.
Either one. I have to go look specifically. I know at the time I saw that Siskel and Ebert, when they reviewed it, both gave it 3.5 out of 4, so they were pretty high on it, pretty positive on it. Most of the for the reviews for this one were pretty high. I think the Muppet Christmas Carol was pretty critically well received as well. Yeah, for what it was. So and also did fairly well. I have to go check out that specifically, but just a few behind the scenes, and I'll get into the other box office stuff of '79. So as with a lot of the Muppet productions, much like the Muppet Show, all the sets that they built for this movie were built raised by about 5 feet, so that the Muppeteers could get underneath, and work the stuff from underneath. So that was kind of always a big thing, is they had to, with the Muppet Show, they have like a raised stage, so everybody can kind of run around underneath it and work all the stuff they needed to work around. So it's always kind of interesting how they have to build all the sets, when you got Muppeteers running around underneath the stages and whatnot. So always interesting. The most difficult special effect for this movie was the bicycle sequence where Kermit is riding the bicycle, in full view.
Uh,
Yeah,
the,
and it's a cool effect, and it involved like a crane and like all these wires and like a crane literally like along next to the bike and whatnot, like a pretty complicated sort of coordinated effort to get Kermit in view of the screen to ride his bicycle. So that was
he almost gets off by a garbage truck.
yeah, he sure does. But Roger Ebert had said, it's unique because there's a lot of shots where you get to see the full Muppets. It's not just like sort of the waist up thing throughout the movie. Like you get to see quite a bit of them. So you could tell the money was on screen here. They tried to do some
The
different stuff.
'70s like bike too, that fucking big tires, like
Yeah, it was like the sideshow bikes, like those circus
yeah,
bikes or something like that. Yeah, is what it seemed like. Yeah, he might as well have been riding one of those ones where it's like the giant wheel in the front and the tiny wheel in the back. That would have been funny,
yeah.
actually. But yeah, so 2 Oscar nominations for the movie. And no surprise for music. So best score for a lot of the for the actual score and whatnot, and the best original song nomination for Rainbow Connection. So a few actual Oscar nominations, and then this actual soundtrack won a Grammy for Best Children's Album. So the movie actually did win a Grammy. So cool of that. Like I said, the first of 8 films that would be made in the entire Muppet series. And we'll see if we get another one in the near future. I think the last one was what Muppets Most Wanted, I believe was the last one we got.
That's a little while ago now.
That was like back in 2014, I think. So it's been over 10 years, yes, since we've had any kind of Muppet material. Yeah, so we'll see if anything happens. I know they revived the TV show for Disney Plus, for a short run. So we'll see if they ever kind of make it back to the big screen. I'd imagine at some point they will. Maybe
I don't know
in the near.
from memory. I don't think the TV show was received well. I don't know why. I don't know if it was like
Yeah.
The writing or whatever. But yeah, I should. The Muppets are a staple, and they're not gonna. Hopefully, they're not gonna be like Warner Brothers and go, "Hey, Looney Tunes, what are they?" So I feel like, I feel like we'll see the Muppets eventually.
Yeah, we'll get something eventually. So the other movies kind of out around the time. Again, the further back you go in history, there's not as much of a variety of movies because again, multiplexes didn't really explode till like the mid '80s or so. To where you got more releases to fill up more theaters. So studios, only released kind of a little bit. So I was only able to scrounge up like 6 other movies that were kind of out around the time.
Can I guess why? Just because of
yeah.
The Jerk.
The Jerk was not out around this time. I think it came out later in the year. So everything I have is mostly like summer stuff that came out that summer. Your big hit was Rocky 2, came out in the summertime. Big hit. Obviously, they followed Rocky. You got Escape from Alcatraz, the Clint Eastwood dad movie, with all the guys escaping from Alcatraz. It's a fun one if you haven't seen it. Alien in theaters this summer, so doing quite well. Also, Butch and Sundance: The Early Years, the prequel that you've probably never seen.
I forgot about the prequel.
Yeah, there was a prequel they did without Paul Newman and Robert Redford, so not as well received, but still had the name recognition. You got Meatballs, the early Bill Murray summer camp movie, which is like okay, it's not great, it's okay. And then you got Moonraker, so you got a Bond movie out, the Roger Moore Moonraker that steals a lot from Star Wars, 2 years after Star Wars.
Right. But
Yeah, not a great movie, but it is out around this time, so that's all I can kind of scrounge up for the box office. But yeah, Richie, you kind of touched on your history with this movie that you probably hadn't seen since you was a kid. But how was this rewatch and sort of your history with the Muppets? Are you familiar with the TV show or the cartoons, anything like that?
Yes, familiar with the TV show. I think, I was, obviously, I also became familiar with the Muppets through, like, obviously Sesame Street, and other Muppets and stuff, and then, and that adjacent, then, got interested in Muppets through that, because I believe, like, Muppets like Gonzo would make appearances in both things, and
Yeah. Right. Well, and we get a Sesame Street cameo in this movie. We get a little Big Bird cameo as they're driving up and down the road. So we get a quick little Sesame Street reference here.
But yeah, so and eventually, I get System Muppets, and they, I would get like the toys. I really became like more of probably. I mean, obviously, I liked Kermit, everyone liked Kermit, but I think my favorite was Animal. I love me some Animal. So I even got like an Animal T-shirt. Amongst my hundreds of T-shirts. Still, I wear that sometimes. I was still, had thought about, still thinking about. I don't know if I'll ever get it done, but like, getting an animal tattoo just because I like that. I like that so much. I just like the character so much. But so no, I've always been a huge fan of the Muppets and just what Jim Henson created. And like that. Always, I know they did the documentary, Jim Henson. After seeing Nicholas Braun do his take on Jim Henson Saturday Night, I kind of want to see a biopic.
Yeah, I think you could do a biopic. I mean, if you really dug into it, I definitely think there's a ton of material there. Yeah, because Jim Henson Idea Man was one of my favorite movies last year. I thought that documentary was great, and I mean, I don't think it would be that hard if Ron Howard was passionate enough to then direct like an actual movie about it. He could just go from the documentary to a movie, and I think it would work.
Yeah, they did that with was it the Mr. Rogers thing? They did documentary and a movie. So they've done that. I've always, and then there was like, wasn't there a spin-off like Fraggle Rock? I used to like that. Watch that.
Yeah, Fraggle Rock was a Henson joint. Yeah, that was one of his spin-off projects after the Muppet Show ended, and that one's still pretty cool to this day. Yeah, and it's been revived a couple of times. Yeah, here and there over the years.
Yeah. So I know, like, way back in. Sorry, I think I'm lagging a little bit, but I think like back in the day, this was a while ago because I don't think there's any movement on it now. But I know Joseph Gordon-Levitt was trying to get like a Fraggle Rock movie made, and nothing ever came of it. So, so I don't know. I was just I was sort of in awe of these puppets that sort of come to life, and all those things. And so they're always going to have a soft spot in for the Muppets. It's probably why it's so happy time. Sorry, it's probably why it's so happy time notice. I was like, yeah, go. Yeah.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, and I definitely watched the TV show occasionally when they showed it in reruns. Yeah, I grew up with Sesame Street, but I think one of my primary exposures actually to the Muppets wasn't even live action. Richie, I don't know if you ever watched Muppet Babies, the cartoon. Did you ever see that show at all?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, because that came on Nickelodeon a lot, so I used to see Muppet Babies quite a bit, and that was a fun little cartoon, yeah, for what it was. And then I want to say I saw the Muppet Christmas Carol in theaters, so that might have been my first Muppet movie in theaters because that was 1992, so that I would have been 6 years old, so that makes sense timeline wise that I saw that one in the theater. So I'm pretty sure I saw that one. And then I don't think I got to this movie till a little later in life, but I would see the other ones occasionally on TV. But I don't think I appreciated sort of the meta humor and the cameos till later. Sort of like you don't know who a lot of people these people are when you're kids. You go back and watch it now, and you kind of know quite a few of them. So that was always fun, kind of going back and seeing
Yeah.
who pops up throughout the movie. And that's a running gag throughout all the Muppet movies is the people that pop in, just for a scene or two, for the little cameos.
Yeah. Or like people who this kind or in some cases people who show up in multiple Muppet movies. It's just a different characters.
Yeah,
There's been a couple of fair enough.
yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, it's always fun to see who pops up. Hi, you're you in from that thing. Uh,
That's what cameos are. But yeah, let's get into it. Because this movie is essentially a road trip movie. And yeah, it's kind of an origin story of sort of the Muppets coming together and putting this act together. But we get a little bit of a meta, intro with the Muppets coming together for a screening of the Muppet movie. So I had forgotten that it's sort of a meta, intro of them, watching their own movie, and you have Statler and Waldorf, heckling the movie, and get the Swedish Chef, running the projector, and then all the Muppets in there, tossing popcorn around and being kind of silly as they start the movie. So yeah, it's a fun little kind of intro, and then yeah, we jump right into probably one of the more famous songs in Muppet canon. We get the Rainbow Connection, opening with Kermit, singing in the swamp. Yeah, and it's a nice little song, and it's a pretty famous one, to kind of open the movie. But Richie, I assume you at least heard this song before, the Rainbow Connection thing, right?
yeah, I've heard the song. Yeah, I believe I probably had the Muppets like cassette at some point. So this song got a lot of rotation. I do have the maybe query his question. Question his question. No, I feel like there's not that many songs about rainbows, but that's just me. There's a surplus of songs about rainbows, but I don't know. Maybe he's just listening to different music than I. But yeah, the song is catchy, and yeah, I don't. This is a weird reference, but like I realized that so while they haven't had a theatrical movie, the Family Guy had a like direct DVD movie called the Untold Stewie Griffin Story. I think it was called something like that. And
Yeah.
they at the start they parodied the Muppets because they're watching the movie.
Mm.
Like the cast watching the movie, and it's very much in the vein of this. So yeah, so it's kind of influential in that way. But yeah, no, this is fun, and yeah, I do. And yeah, that song is very catchy. So it's no wonder it won. It got some recognition awards wise.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we get our first kind of cameo. Dom DeLuise rows into the movie, on a little rowboat, and does his quick cameo. And I like Dom DeLuise a lot. He's fun, and he pops up in some of the Mel Brooks movies and Cannonball Run and things like that. So he did a lot of voice work for cartoons, different animated movies. So always fun to see Dom DeLuise. But yeah, he tips Kermit off to this ad that there's this Hollywood company looking for frogs, talented frogs. So he decides to head off and take a little road trip. But yeah, so he heads into town. But yeah, and he goes and finds Fozzie Bear, who's trying out his stand-up comedy at a bar, and it's not going very well. He's getting the Blues Brothers treatment, where he's getting things thrown at him on stage. He's getting stage fright. Yeah, his puns are not working very well. Yeah, and we get a couple more cameos kind of in here. We get James Coburn getting thrown out of the bar at the beginning. And he drops a quick. Most of them are like literally they come into the movie, they say a line or two, and they're kind of out of the movie. It's really about it. Madeline Kahn is at the bar. Again, speaking of Mel Brooks, alumni, Madeline Kahn is at the bar. She drops a line, or two about something, want to buy me a drink, stranger, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, it's just like and he said something about like myth, I said myth. That was that thing,
Yeah.
and then the guy thought you were talking to us. Well, the whole you're talking about a woman kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the other guy was Telly Savalas, who yeah. So speaking of Bond, he went on to play Blofeld in one of the Roger Moore, Bond movies. And Telly Savalas, he's in one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes, the Talking Tina episode. Have you ever seen that with the talking doll?
I know.
You ever heard of it or seen it?
I know. I haven't watched it.
Yeah. Telly Savalas did it. It's a very famous episode where there's a doll where she's not like. She doesn't run around like Chucky or anything. She just says, things like with her voice box. So it's kind of like an Annabelle looking type of doll. And she just goes like, I'm talking Tina and I don't like you very much. She ends up screwing around with Telly Savalas. It's a lot of fun. It holds up. You get a quick Telly Savalas cameo. And then you get Paul Williams on the piano. Very famous musician, songwriter, and he wrote a lot of the lyrics for the songs, collaborating with Henson for the movie. So he was kind of a music coordinator as well. So he gets to make a little cameo on the piano here. Fozzie and Kermit, kind of hit it off. Both of them there, not doing too well in here. They have a little dance number. The dance number is cool because you get to see kind of a full thing of them, doing a little dance, full on, puppet wise. And what it was is it was kind of superimposed, like they did the full thing and then kind of superimpose it onto the stage. You can tell, but it's cool. It's still a cool little effect, and it's fun to see them kind of doing a little dance on stage. It's a fun little sequence. You get the drunken, locals just throwing stuff at them, being rowdy. It feels like it's out of a Western or something like that.
Yeah, and I do, the kind of Western trope of that the ragtime piano player, Paul and Flash, I realize there's a lot of like Muppets references. I think obviously Seth MacFarlane's a huge Muppets fan because there's a whole like running joke of Family Guy, the ragtime piano player. Play him off, Johnny. I was going to mention too, like obviously you mentioned Dom DeLuise is like he does a lot of voice work. He did a lot of voice work for a Don Bluth animated film.
Because he's in a lot of the Bluth stuff, and then he's in like obviously the American Tail movies as well. He did a ton of voice work, especially in the 80s, early 90s. A ton of stuff, but he was always fun for what it is. So they go to set out on the road.
I just like that we're very specific that like, oh, they're looking for frogs. Those talented frogs. Like that's a very niche advert.
Yeah, it's a very, very specific advert, and there was a pretty big ad too. It wasn't like a little blurb like you see in a classified section. It was like a full page ad. Looking for talented frogs. But again, what I like about these Muppet movies is they just exist in this world and nobody questions it. Like it's a world where Muppets exist. It's not really like a big deal. It's kind of like a Roger Rabbit situation. Where there's just Muppets exist in this world, and it's fine. And people just know that. So it's all right. They hit the road, but they encounter. Kind of our antagonist of the movie, Doc Hopper, played by Charles Durning. Pretty famous, character actor Charles Durning, which was funny. It was the second Charles Durning movie I saw this week because we went to the theater and watched Dog Day Afternoon. And he's the police negotiator in Dog Day Afternoon, the one negotiating with Al Pacino for most of the movie. It's kind of fun. I was like, oh, there's Charles Durning again. He was in a bunch of 70s movies. And then Austin Pendleton, his little sidekick, who I was like, oh, God, I recognize that. Is that Austin Pendleton? And who I mostly know, I know it's like not great, career-wise for Austin Pendleton, but Richie, I know him as the dad and Mr. Nanny of the kids. Mostly. about 15 years later. So yeah, the Hulk Hogan movie. He's like the kid's dad in that movie, like the computer guy. So, but yeah, he's tooling around here, much younger, obviously. But yeah, he has a it's like a fast food chain, and they only, I guess, sell like frogs legs. I guess fried frogs legs.
It was like there's your yeah, enjoy your like your frog lasagna, frog frog stroganoff, and frog.
Yeah, it's just all these frog dishes. Yeah, they go in there and they're just serving frog everywhere. And of course, Kermit's like freaking out. But yeah, I mean, it starts out as a thing where he wants to hire Kermit to sort of be like his mascot, for a certain amount of money. Kermit doesn't really want anything to do with it. Fozzie's happy to take the money. He'd be happy to take the dough. But yeah, he wasn't wanting anything to do. And then Doc incessantly follows him so that I'm assuming can cook him and eat him. This is what I assume, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume that.
Yeah, because I think he just wants to get his hands on his legs to them use him. But yeah, they pop in and out of the movie. It's sort of a road trip thing, so they're constantly kind of bumping into them here and there. So he's kind of the primary antagonist. But yeah, they hit the road. They're in the Studebaker, this old Studebaker car, which that Studebaker, Richie, looks suspiciously, and I can't confirm this. It looks suspiciously like the car in The Mask, the loner car. Do you remember that? that
Oh
big
yeah.
it looks a lot like that car. I don't know if it actually is, but man, it looks suspiciously like that car.
Yeah, it does.
Bring around the Lona. The Lona? But I know this car. I did see something about this car, that this specific one from this movie. Somebody got a hold of it recently and kind of restored it over a period of like a year or so. And I think they put it back on the like studio lot tour out at Universal, like that. And there's a section of movie cars. Then they finally got it out there. So that's pretty cool. They kind of found it and restored it. So cool there. But yeah, they keep going. They pull over for a little while, and they run into and meet Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, our resident kind of Muppet house band.
In the car, yeah, don't they run into Milton Berle?
Milton Berle is at the car place. Yeah, I mean, again, there's a few quick cameos. Yeah, I didn't recognize Milton Berle at first, but when I went back, I was like, oh yeah, that was Milton Berle, who I just associate now with J.K. Simmons and his portrayal of him in Saturday Night, which is really funny. If you remember that, when he's going back and forth with Chevy Chase in that movie.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Again, I had an article. I had an article with all the actual cameos on here. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up here. But yeah, go ahead.
And don't they buy the car for like $12? Like,
something like that. Oh yeah, like $12. Yeah, he tries to sell him like a Volkswagen Beetle. That one falls apart, and then he's just like a crummy used car salesman, and that's where the what's the name of that the big giant Muppet? I always forget his name. It's like
I was about to ask you that he freaks me out.
It's like Jack or something like that. Yeah, the big giant one.
He's in on that, like, obviously it's a kind of costume or whatever, but like, my God, that freaked me out as a kid. Like, he's a very scary. You can make a horror movie, but he's a scary Muppet, man.
Yeah, he's very, very scary. And it comes with
too, because he was like, they're like, you want to go? He's like, Hollywood, okay. And he went to get his stuff. Like, oh, I guess he just ran away.
Yeah. Okay, Sweetums. Okay, Brian would know, of course. I thought they said like Jack or something. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they did. Maybe he told him Jack.
Maybe he changed his name later, but he's the big giant one that's like 6 feet tall. Yeah, and he's kind of freaky looking with the big mouth. The running gag with him is that he runs after them the entire movie and doesn't catch up with them until the end of the movie. He gets ran across the country chasing them. So, we get a few. Again, a few more cameos here and there. They with the Dr. Teeth sequence, they play a song for him, and they introduce probably one of my favorite jokes in the movie, which is they like hand them the screenplay for the movie, which is funny. It's a nice meta moment where he's just like, instead of recapping, he's like, they ask him, oh, like, how'd you get here? And they start to tell the story, and instead they're like, just hand them a screenplay, and they can just read it. and they read the screenplay and kind of read the first act of the movie, which is very funny. So it's a nice way to kind of do it and have a nice little meta moment there. I like that. That was fun. And that comes back in later. But yeah, the next person they pick up is Miss Piggy. They hit this like county fair, and of course she's winning like a beauty contest there. Yeah,
hosted by Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould, yes. And then we get a Richard Pryor cameo as well, because he's like a balloon salesman there. So you get like a quick Richard Pryor gag there. Who else shows up? That's not the Carol Kane scene. She shows up later. Bob Hope is like the ice cream guy, right? Or he's like an ice cream salesman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize Bob Hope at first because he's kind of a old school comedian, but yeah, he's in there as well. So again, a couple of quick cameos. But yeah, Miss Piggy, wants to tag along as well. So again, they're kind of picking up people. Yeah, it's very similar to the Blues Brothers, which again come out a year later, but it's kind of similar to like getting the band together. Only they're not getting the band back together; they're getting them together for the first time.
Well, Kermit is also a dude because obviously. He initially just asked. He initially just invites her to have ice cream, and she is smitten by him. So they're like, oh yeah, you want to go to Hollywood? But like, he seems like the type of dude who's just like he would fall for a pyramid scheme. You know what I mean? Like he's just like
he's a pushover. Yeah, he would fall for any.
He's too polite to be like, oh, okay.
Because he says something like he's referring to like, would you like to join me for ice cream? But he says like, would you like to join me? And she's like, oh yes, I'll join you. Give me just a minute or something. And she comes back with all of her suitcases, like she's ready to go. And he was like, I was referring to the ice cream. I wasn't referring to you joining us to go to Hollywood. But of course she was.
I guess now but then he still doesn't, reject her. He's like, okay, well, fair enough.
I guess you're coming along. All right, cool. So yeah, he's so they head out. But Miss Piggy gets abducted at the dinner, and this dinner is where we get our Steve Martin cameo, which he may be my second favorite cameo. I don't think he's my favorite, but I think he's a lot of fun. Because it's the same year as the Jerk, so he had a good year. He's very much in like kind of almost jerk mode. It's very much like stand up Steve. He's sampling like dollar champagne, for them, things like that. He's taking a sip of it. He's making goofy faces as he's kind of sipping it, telling, he's just this, I think he's even credited as like disgruntled waiter or something like that. So it's a good little cameo. I liked it.
Didn't he show up in the didn't he show up in he shows up in a later Muppets movie, right? Is it the Amy Adams one? I think he makes an appearance.
Maybe, yeah. Brian would probably have to confirm that for him, but I'm sure he does, at some point, because he's one of the more famous cameos, from this movie. But yeah, they say she's got a phone call. She gets abducted, and we find out abducted by a mad scientist for Professor Craftsman, played by my favorite cameo of the movie, which is Mel Brooks. I love the Mel Brooks cameo. Yeah, just playing this kind of goofy mad scientist, and there's a good bit where him and Charles Durning are kind of going back and forth, and he's making silly faces. And there's a bit where he's like looking at his machine lovingly, and he almost licks the button, which I thought was really funny. He's like, like he just stops to do that. You can tell it's probably an improv.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably improv. He probably did that.
Oh, I'm sure this whole thing was like they had a couple of basic lines, and he just kind of improved a lot of the physical stuff, sort of like Steve Martin. I'm sure it was the same way in the waiter sequence, just kind of improving, physical things. But yeah, you can tell he's having a great time, and it's very similar actually to what he wears, because he's wearing like a mad scientist, science coat, sort of a thing. But on the back it says Doc, just DOC. It's similar to Blazing Saddles when he plays the governor, and he's wearing a jacket in that movie that says GOV for governor. So I think that might be like a subtle reference to Blazing Saddles. But it's fun. He tries to use this like machine to sort of lobotomize Kermit and whatnot, and Miss Piggy has a little mini fight scene where she's using her karate, doing her hi-ya, Yeah, and she's fighting everybody, knocking everybody over. Yeah, it's a fun little goofy, fight scene. So she gets to kind of show off there, and then he gets brainwashed by his own device. So there you go. But yeah, she gets a phone call and gets a job offer, and she leaves. She leaves the movie for a little bit, and Kermit thinks, this relationship, I guess that he wasn't really into at first, but kind of starting into might be over. So she bails, and we don't see her till later.
It's a classic romantic comedy thing. It's like, I don't like you. Oh, yeah, you irk me. I don't like you. Why are you here? Oh, I don't want.
I'm not going to tell you why I'm leaving you. I'm just going to leave you.
And I'm forced to spend time with you. And now I'm starting to like you. And now you're gone. Yeah.
Yeah. We pick up Ralph as well, playing the piano in like a bar. So we pick him up. He just kind of is hanging around. He doesn't have a lot to do. This is mostly kind of his main scene. I forget who plays. There's another cameo in there where somebody playing like the bartender or something like that. I forget who was in there. Again, there's so many that come kind of quickly that I forget kind of which ones are which. It might be the Edgar Bergen cameo, I think. So and then we break down on the side of the road. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, heading towards California, and we break down. They kind of start a campfire, and
we're okay. We're okay. Oh, no, we're fine. We're fine.
We're fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. It's all right. Everything's fine. But the script thing comes back as Dr. Teeth and the band roll up in their bus, and Kermit asks how he found them, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's right here in this page of the script. We just read the script and we knew exactly where you'd be." And so that's a very funny, again, nice little callback that I appreciate. A nice little meta joke there. Doc Hopper hires a guy named Snake Walker, an assassin, to knock off Kermit, and they have kind of a western. Speaking of westerns, they literally have like a western showdown in this kind of weird, ghost town. This abandoned sort of ghost town with tumbleweeds, kind of going all around. This is where we run into Dr. Honeydew and Beaker, and we run into them kind of making. They're making like an Insta-Grow pill or something, whatever they call it. He's got like he's got some giant fruit or something that he gave the Insta-Grow to. And your boy, Richie, your boy Animal is the one who saves the day in the scene, because he takes an Insta-Grow pill and becomes like a 60-foot animal.
Which is the image that's sort of been like that image is always burnt in my brain. That one, that's the image that I remember for this movie, because I think it's like been plastered on a lot of things. It's like it's like that quintessential image people use when they like draw them. It's just like that.
And I think this was a thing actually, where because you don't see the this was a trivia bit that I saw. You don't see the full body of Animal, but they actually built a like 60-foot animal head for that shot. So it's not a miniature, it's not superimposed, it's not like a perspective shot. They literally had like a 60-foot animal head specifically that they built for this sequence and pushed it up behind that house thing or whatever, that bar, to do the intimidation, because you don't see him like walk around, but you see the giant head, and that was real. It wasn't like a miniature set with that, so I thought that was pretty cool. So somebody's got that giant animal head somewhere in like a warehouse.
It's got that movie prop. I want to.
Yeah, I don't know where you would put it. It seems like it would take up your entire house. That thing's 60 feet tall, your whole backyard. So they scare away Hopper, and that's kind of it for him. They finally get to Hollywood. And they meet the Hollywood executive, Lou Lord, who this is very dramatic thing, Richie, of like he's, there's a guy sitting in the chair, in the big desk, looks like the big shot. And, realistically, it has to be somebody big, it has to be somebody that has that presence or whatever. Did you remember who it was or no? Like when you were watching the movie?
I didn't know, but yeah, I know the story behind the name of Lou. It's apparently it was it's a play on I think the head of BBC or someone at the time was called Lou something, and it was like who helped broadcast and so that's where they got the name from. But I didn't necessarily recognize the person. But yeah, I knew from the film that I was supposed to. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because they do the dramatic turn, and it's Orson Welles. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's the great Orson Welles. And yeah, I feel like, for the 1979, that is kind of a big name, somebody who, would turn around and maybe the kids wouldn't know, right, Richie? But the parents, would know who Orson Welles is. Anybody, parents taking their kids would be very, very familiar with Orson Welles, obviously from, Citizen Kane and, The Third Man, all this kind of stuff. And then if you ever want to look up something fun, Richie, something funny from Orson Welles. He did a series of like wine commercials in the 70s or the 80s. And he was drunk during them. So there's all these outtakes of him just being a drunken asshole on set while they're trying to film these commercials. And it's really, really funny. So just look up Orson Welles drunk commercials and you'll see that. It's very, very funny. And him just being a deliberate drunk, belligerent drunk. It's very, very funny. And for anybody who doesn't know, if you watched Pinky and the Brain, the cartoon in the 90s, Maurice LaMarche based his brain voice off of Orson Welles.
I figured.
It's 100% just him doing an Orson Welles impression. So again, something kids wouldn't get, but when you go back and watch it now, you're like, oh, he's just doing Orson Welles. Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
And because I haven't watched a lot of what Orson Welles like movies from back in the day, I figured he was doing the doing an Orson Welles impression based on the fact that Orson Welles did a voice in the Transformers movie, the cartoon movie.
Yeah, he did the Unicron voice in that one, which we talked about that when we did a recast recently for Star Wars, because Eric and Barber picked Orson Welles' voice for a recasted Darth Vader voice, and I played some of the Unicron stuff from Transformers, and it won. That one won. Yeah, it won. So that particular recast. So yeah, I think it could have worked. He signs the Muppets to what he calls a standard rich and famous contract, which I thought was funny. Sign the contract to make you rich and famous. So that was very funny. They sort of, they're trying to put together this production and it doesn't really go right, but they are able to. This rainbow literally comes through the studio and they sing a big song, and some of the Sesame Street characters and some of the other people kind of step in, and they have this big. It looks like the finale from Gremlins 2, if you remember, where it's just like a sea of like Muppets and puppets, singing all together. Which I can only imagine how many puppeteers they had to use for this thing. I mean, dozens, I would imagine. Maybe some of them could do 2 at a time, maybe. I imagine they just scrape up just about anybody who could, prop their arm up under the stage and move a Muppet to get this thing going.
That would have been that would have been challenging to choreograph and coordinate. I think it's cool. Again, the contract thing, it proves also that Kermit a bit gullible, a bit pushover, like he just has a contract like, oh, this is going to make me famous. No lawyer, there's no Muppet lawyer. Is there a Muppet lawyer that you could run through it? That's no. So he could be fleeced out a lot of money, but you wouldn't.
Yeah. They sing, one last final song. That's pretty much the movie. And they have a wraparound, kind of like the intro, where the credits roll in the theater where the Muppets were watching their own movie. The Sweetums, the creepy one that you talk about, the giant one, bursts through the screen and he catches up with them, just in time to miss the movie. So that's the nice kind of final, button on the thing. But again, it's just kind of a casual, just kind of a silly, like I said, road trip movie, with some nice cameos, throughout the whole thing. Again, just kind of we're picking people up, at different spots, kind of putting the gang together. And it's a nice little intro, for anybody who isn't familiar with the Muppets or didn't see the show. This actually genuinely would be a good, first movie to watch because it's kind of an intro for all these characters, in their original form. So, not a bad rewatch. It's a nice breezy movie. Is it like going to be is it going to be making my 128 anytime soon, Richie. No, not gonna be making my 128 anytime soon. For what it is, but yeah, it's a totally like easy watch if you had a kid, a nephew, niece, somebody who wanted to watch this movie. Perfectly like watchable. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
perfectly.
your thoughts on Muppet Movie, Richie, your rewatch.
Yeah, I think it's a charming movie. Just about kind of yeah, about friendship and perseverance, and yeah, there's a good launching pad for it, like introduction. Yeah, for the like you said, for those who maybe aren't familiar with Muppets prior to that. But yeah, no, and it's just fun. The great sort of chemistry. Yeah, the sort of you go back to it, the humor that you missed, and yeah, like I would definitely um, show this to my nephew when he's a bit so yeah, when he has a bit more concentration, when he's still and he just turned 4, so he's still a bit when he
Yeah, no,
wild.
I can relate. My niece is 3.5, and we don't really watch movies when she comes over. We watch like clips on YouTube because her attention span is less
Yeah,
than 5 minutes. So
yeah,
we'll be watching. She comes over and she watches. I've gotten her into Godzilla, so that's a good thing.
yeah,
She calls them the dinosaur movies. So
yeah,
but we'll watch just like fight scenes, from the old Godzilla movies, but just the scenes. You know what I mean? Like not the whole movie. Obviously, she would have
yeah,
no patience for the entire movie, but she likes that kind of stuff, or like some of the Zord fights and Power Rangers, because it's kind of like monsters and robots, and she likes that stuff. But yeah, just specific scenes, and we'll scroll through. I'll be scrolling across YouTube, and she'll go, "I want to watch that one," and we'll watch that one.
yeah,
So she'll see an image, she wants to see, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know if she would have the patience for something non-animated yet, because I know my sister, her mom has taken her to, I think took her to Moana 2 and Lilo and Stitch, I believe, the most recent Lilo and Stitch. But yeah, I mean, she's only got so much patience, overall. It's got to be a one of those quick ADD kind of movies,
yeah. I mean, my nephew's definitely sort of hinted at the idea of like, oh, I could go to movies with you, and I said like, yeah, maybe in a few years when I'm confident enough you can sit there and not annoy the shit out of me.
Yeah, right. When you can actually just sit and pay attention to a movie. Yeah, I feel like 5 or 6, they start to get to that age. I know that was when I started to kind of get into movies in the theater, when I was like 5 or 6. I remember vividly seeing like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and stuff when I was like 5, 6 years old, and being able to sit there and pay attention to it. So I think, yeah, when he gets to be like 6, Richie, I think he'll be like, then go to the theater and actually pay attention, to a kid's movie, for 90 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, and then you're good from there. But yeah, other than that, I think it's you got to watch stuff at home for the most part.
yeah. There's a reason, that's a good reason why Netflix exists. I mean, no, you can wait for that movie to come on Netflix. I'll watch it because I can pay attention. You can wait till streaming.
Yes, yeah, we did watch the original Little Mermaid here, and she sat through most of that. So that's it. But
Yeah,
also, but that movie's also like 75 minutes, so it's
yeah,
very
yeah,
quick. It's very quick, very colorful. So it works. Again, that's one thing I love about those old, most of the classic Disney movies. A lot of them are like way under 90 minutes. They're very quick. We watched the original Toy Story. That's 80 minutes.
yeah.
Goes by very quickly.
I will say that I don't. Yeah, quickly. There's some movies that are short technically that don't feel breezy because they're not enjoyable. It'll be on a certain list at the end of the year, but I watched Love Hurts, and
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that,
that's
that is
that's
that's
on my
80
worst of as of right now. Yeah, that's a very quick movie that feels like forever. Yeah.
that's 80 minutes. That took ages.
Well, and I can attest to that with the most recent Smurfs movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I actually saw it, and I think I told you about this, but yeah, it's that movie's like 90 minutes, and it feels like you're watching it for 3 hours. It just takes forever, like forever. Yeah, it's not well paced. Yeah, it's not good. But yeah, but yeah, I think for the most part, I like that, at least again, for the most part, most of these studios know that kids movies need to be 90 minutes or less. That's the sweet spot.
yeah.
I don't think you should have a lot of these animated or family movies that push like 2 hours. That's just too much. Which is why I thought it was stupid when they did these Disney live action remakes, like Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast that are like over 2 hours, and I'm like, dude, no, you can't have like 7-year-olds like and have them watch a 2 hour and 15 minute Little Mermaid movie. Like that just doesn't work.
No, yeah, it's like, yeah, and also like, what else? I don't know. Just it's like, yeah, like yeah, you're not. Yeah, it's so easy for them to do it because they're not parenting the child. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, but you gotta hit that sweet spot, and you know me, I've always advocated that or comedies or most horror movies. You know, a lot of these certain subgenres should be like 90-minute movies. You know, not everything, but you know, I like the fact that I've seen quite a bit of short movies lately. I feel like shorter movies are kind of making a little bit of a comeback. I've seen quite a few movies in the theaters this year that are like a tight 90.
well,
For
that's
the
why
most part.
like I think that's why the Naked Gun worked because it was like the same length as the
Oh, it was like
original.
85 minutes, which is perfect for a comedy. You get
Yeah,
into
like
that.
otherwise, even though if the jokes are funny, they'll just wear at the welcome. You're like, okay, I'm ready for you in now.
But yeah, Nobody 2 was like 85, 90 minutes. Like that one was quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even some of the horror movies I've seen have been, you know, relatively short. I think Together was like a 90-minute movie. Again,
yeah,
you can do it, guys. Like it's possible to tell a whole story. And
it's
again,
fun.
I'm not opposed to longer movies if you justify it, but you know, so
Yeah,
many certain subgenres, man. You gotta Happy Gilmore 2. Did that movie need to be 2 hours? No.
no, no, I don't
No,
mean it's,
I don't really know why that movie was like an hour and 55 minutes. Cut it down a little bit, guys. Come on,
and
the
you have
original
to
movie's like 95 minutes. You can
you
get
have
it
to
done.
switch on the cameos and oh, this is the brother of this person, and this is a cousin of
Yeah,
this minor character.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so those are anyways, that's a whole other topic for another day. I
And
could go on
we
and
might
on.
talk. I mean, we might spin Happy Gilmore. Yeah, probably. It's very possible. So we'll talk about that.
No, yeah, we could spin Happy Gilmore, given how many times it's on the wheel. It's on the wheel about 10 times. Yeah, there's a good possibility we'll spin it at some point. Yeah, if we ever do that, we'll talk about the sequel as well. You know, in there. Yeah, we'll see. So, but yeah, as far as the next one goes, we'll see. As far as you know, when we will what we will spend for our next episode. And we might, Richie, I'm just throwing this out there, we might have to push our next episode to 3 weeks from now. I've kind of got a lot going on the next two Thursdays. So we, you know, as far as like up until 10 o'clock when we do Lonely Marks.
Yeah,
So we might have to take a slight break and come back, you know, the first week of October on October 2nd. So if
yeah.
you're okay with that, we
I'm
might take
fine
a
with
little.
that. But just a note to the universe and everything. If you're a famous actor, you know, just take care of your health. I don't want to. I want to spend
Yes,
the.
I know. Yeah, yeah. We want to spin the wheel, not do another tribute episode because we made it. We literally seems like we can't make it more than 2 or 3 episodes without a tribute episode. So because we literally just did one with Terrence Stamp. So yeah, let's see if we can go another episode or two without doing that. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, fingers crossed. Within the next 3 weeks, like we will spin the wheel anyways, just to see what we spin. But yeah, fingers crossed we don't have to do an emergency episode at some point. If we have to do an emergency episode, Richie, we'll pick like a Wednesday night and we'll do one, you know,
Yeah,
in between. But yeah, as of right now, we may take a brief hiatus for the rest of September, and it's fun. We've earned a break. We've done over 50 episodes of this thing, so
yeah,
we'll take a quick break. We'll come back in October, and hey, maybe we'll spin a horror movie for October. That'd be cool.
yeah,
If I could spin, you know, something horror to kick off the spooky season, that'd be fun.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, what you got to plug, man, and we'll get out of here.
We got Lonely Months coming up here soon. We're going to be talking fantasy talk, and the news is quite a bit of that.
Yep.
And and talking about our pet peeves in wrestling. So
Yeah.
it's going to be kind of fun. So yeah, talking about that, and then yeah, beyond that, yeah, 125 sometimes, tier ranker sometimes, and yeah, what I love horror, all that jazz. So yeah, I pop up here and there. I'm a bit busier than I used to be, so not as often, but I'm still around. So check that out, and yeah, yeah, all good.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Yeah, and you can check me out obviously here on the Movie Hero Network, co-hosting and or hosting stuff. I'll be hosting tournament fights tomorrow night for the championship of 1991. Jordan will be out hiking doing his thing. And then we've got a recast on Monday where for Zach Shelton's birthday episode, he wanted to recast Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So that's what we'll be recasting on Monday night. We got a panel for that one. And then, yeah, so and like I said, you'll catch us here on the Wheel of Movies, usually every other Thursday, but we'll probably take the rest of the next two off for the rest of September, just because I've got a very busy schedule. We'll still do Lonely Marks, so don't you worry. Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast every week at 10 p.m. on its own channel, which I will link in the Movie Hero Network Facebook group. Yeah, and like Richie said, we'll be doing a little tier ranker action tonight with the three of us, so check that out, and we'll cover a lot of news. WrestleMania, Saudi Arabia. All right, we'll have thoughts about that. So tune in if you want to hear our thoughts about that. Okay. So we'll have a lot to say about that. But yeah, so if you want to hear our thoughts, check out on the Lonely Marks. But that'll wrap it up for tonight for our discussion of the Muppet movie. So for Richie Goodacre, thanks for joining me as always. I appreciate it. And I am Austin Pez Howell, and we'll see you next time on Wheel of Movies here on the Movie Hero Network. Bye, guys.